That motherfucker right there is just as important as there once was a time when all were free to be what they wanted to be. There once was a time of trust from all of us. We walk a road to avoid the bus. There once was a time we had our own. Now I'm in my own. There once was a time for freedom won. But now we want to have fun. Do we want to party or change this place? First, we have to uplift the race. The world saw a country filled with hate. Now we procrastinate. The world cried as we died in the streets. Our kids die with nothing to eat. The world mourned the death of a king. But did it mean a damn thing? People, don't we know that we've lost face? Uplift the race. It's not a black thing or a white thing or a day thing or a night thing. It's the right thing. So uplift the race. So you call yourself an African with an afro. If they told you to leave, where would you go? You don't possess the knowledge. You went to college. You rot in the jungle like a bunch of dead fish. But you call me a sellout. But you fell out the pages of history. So can't you see? If you can't understand, this is the promised land. So stand up and be a man. You must excel. You must not fail. Get out your shell or live in hell. Uplift the race. A nine in my hand, I look for restitution. You promised me the Constitution, then slam the fucking door in my face and disgrace my race and ask me. My solution. It's just that simple. The other part is that short-term memory thing. I actually lost the last portion of that verse, but I think what's worse is the mere fact that we're facing our own personal attack on our own imagery. I mean, right now we all want to be something more than we've ever been able to use in a fantasy for 26,000 years all over the world. And now we can't take our own order in the new world because we're still expecting the new world order to fuck up everything. There are more elders right now that don't know why they're trying to set things up for the youth of tomorrow, while the youth of tomorrow are more conflicted with the possibility that, you know, anyone past the age of adulthood means them any good when they're next up and what we call on this earth the next generation's history. And a lot of times we get too personal, we get too selfish, we get too out of sight of the realization that we're not here for ourselves. We're here just for enough time to basically pad our existence for the next generation of our existence, enough for the last generation to at least be able to pay homage to the last generation who hope that they could pad our existence a little bit more. And yet and still here we are, and we're not remembering none of that right now because all of this right now is different. America is suffering from a moralic culture shock because, in case you forgot, it's not your religion or your morality or anything that's stopping you from allowing everyone else to be whoever they want to be and do whatever they want to do, as long as it's not affecting you, and we all can become more productive as a country and not just as a community. The problem here is that all bets are off because the last step that we had to go was the people of color. It had nothing to do with just being black. It wasn't about being in slavery. It was about being of color, because now all bets are off. There is no white or black in America because each one of us came from something that ran from somewhere that it used to be from because it was of color. And And now here we are, 2010. And the time clock begins to 2012. But guess what? In case you didn't know, the last report from hell is all is well. It's just that the memo is not going to get to you no matter where you are, who you are right now, any faster than it's going to get across this bridge that most of you will not be able to be within the test model of the years of your generations to come's future. And all we can leave here is some more positivity instead of possibility that somewhere or another we're going to feel a lot better about where we've become from where we've come from. Now, I myself have sit back here and I realize that the biggest fear that I have is not having to prove myself to anyone that really can't quite fathom why I'm allowed to exist when they barely got here themselves. And I'm not trying to be snotty or snootish or uppity or anything like that, but yes, there are some black people in America, there are some people of color in America that really honestly are big bitches about the mere fact that they don't care who you think you are. You need to realize that there's more to who you are than just what you think you are in comparison to who we may be. Not all of us, but some of us. To the mere fact that the hardest thing for people who are black are to get over being an Uncle Tom, when Uncle Tom was the biggest image of what was strong and who we were in our genetics. But somewhere or another you can't quite get that. You can't be shuffling and jiving because you don't have the talent to be Bojangles, who actually invented a whole new style of actually something that, basically speaking, most of you can only get with Riverdance now. Because you wouldn't allow Mr. Bojangles to dance. And so in some cases, it's really honestly not a white person or a person of less color's fault. It's every person with color's fault right now for not being able to see how they could honestly allow everyone else who's not like themselves to embrace into their history that they don't even have a clue who they actually are connected to. And that's not a bad thing. It's just a real thing in 2010. Because we may not ever get the actual kind of people of color in our government again in this lifetime. But this year, this moment, this second, a lot of you listening really honestly think that you should deserve more to see than for you to actually believe can be. And that's really a sick, sad thing for a whole lot of you who are taught some kind of faith-based spirituality. It don't matter who color it is. We run on red, white, and blue. And none of y'all can see that every last one of us has the ability to be of at least those three colors. Now, maybe this 32-strand DNA can change the way you can honestly say who you actually came from. But right now, we can't get some because we can't have fun because we're too scared to actually let our ghosts, our skeletons be aired. Not just the black folks, but all the folks. All bets are off. There's no such thing as white and black. We're all of some kind of color because we ran from somewhere else. And that's the reason why we're all here. Now what we're going to do.